in case of India, the passenger to freight ratio is somewhere in the range of 0.2 to 0.3. 0.2 to 0.3, meaning what? For every 1 rupee that I charge for a freight transportation, I will charge only 20 paisa for a customer, for a passenger. Right? On the other side, for developed countries such as Korea, such as USA, Germany, China, etc., the passenger to freight ratio is more than 1 rupee. Right? More than 1, not rupee, more than 1. Is the logic okay? I'll repeat it again. Passenger to freight ratio in case of India is much below 1, 0.2 to 0.3. And in case of developed countries, the passenger to freight ratio is more than 1, which means they are charging more to a passenger compared to a freight transportation. Whereas in case of India, we are charging more on freight transportation compared to a passenger, which will also, let me know, which will also affect the revenue generation of railways. All of you okay with this? Which will also affect revenue generation capacity of the railways, and that has actually led to a lot of the times losses being incurred by the railways. Right? That is the second concern. Third concern, private sector participation in railways is very, very low. Historically, this has been correct. Private sector participation in railways has been very, very low. Why? The private sector says government has a monopoly. Government will formulate a policy, government will implement a policy, government will evaluate, government will finance, everything will be done by the government agency. Then what should I do? Right? Don't you think the relevance of the private sector in railways will be very, very less? That is the reason private sector participation has been historically very low in railways compared to other sector. If you have seen historically, even the railway stations were developed by the government. Railways were operated by the government. Anything related to services were undertaken by the government. But now government is actually changing the policy. It is allowing private sector to participate, allowing the private sector to participate. Okay, done. Next, high operating ratio. High operating ratio. Right, have a look at this. The expenditure that is incurred for generating revenue. What is high operating ratio, or what is operating ratio? It is the ratio of how much expenses you will incur to generate revenue. Now please think of it and let me know. Let me check how does your CSAT actually work. How does your mind think? If this is the ratio, how much expenditure you are incurring to generate revenue, if this is operating ratio, what would you prefer? A high operating ratio or a low operating ratio? Think of it. If the ratio is basically how much is your expenditure to generate revenue, what would you prefer? A high operating ratio or a low operating ratio? My dear, most of you are correct. Most of you are correct. Some of you are mistaken. You should prefer low operating ratio. Some of you are saying, sir, I would prefer a high operating ratio. What does it mean? Let me give a very simple example. Let me give you a very simple example. Imagine you are generating revenue of 100 rupee. In two cases, you are generating same amount of revenue, 100 rupee. Would you want to spend 98 rupees to generate 100 rupee, or would you want to spend 90 rupees to generate 100 rupee? Think of it. Please think of it. Would you want to spend 90 to generate 100, or would you want to spend 98 to generate 100? So what I'm talking is basically operating ratio. So don't you think this is a much better operating ratio compared to this? So in case of India, the operating ratio for railways is more than 98. In case of India, the operating ratio for railways is more than 98, which means, and historically, operating ratio has increased in India. In the last 10 years, it has become highest last year, more than 98, which means we are spending more and more money to generate revenue. We are spending more and more money to generate revenue. right? So, right, we will have to reduce even the operating ratio for railways. We'll have to reduce the operating ratio in railways. Done. These are some of the issues regarding railways. So what are the reforms? What kind of measures or reforms have been undertaken by the government? First one, bullet train project. All of you heard of this? Bullet train project. The first very important reform is a bullet train project. Now, what is this bullet train project? It's a new type of infrastructure project that has been proposed by the government with a joint venture with the Japanese government, which will be connecting two states in India or two industrial cities in India. These two are one Ahmedabad, second one is Mumbai. Right, the two cities, industrial cities, both are industrial cities which are going to be connected. One is Ahmedabad, right, from Gujarat, and second one is right, Mumbai from Maharashtra. And with operationalization, it is not yet operational. Please check, it is not yet operational. As per the original proposal, I repeat, as per the original proposal, it was supposed to start operating from 2023. It has not yet started. Why? Land acquisition is stuck up. In many cases, the projects have to be altered, right? In many cases, the project is yet to be completed, and that is a precise reason. That is a precise reason why there is a delay in the completion of the project. Delays in the completion of the project. Now, please understand what are the benefits. What are we trying to do? What are we trying to achieve using this kind of an initiative? First one, this will be introduction of new technology in railways. And technology, whenever you introduce new technology, that is always beneficial. For example, don't you think the semi-high speed railways, that is Vande Bharat Express, it is an introduction of new technology. Is it not benefiting customers in India? Is it not benefiting passengers in India? Of course, yes. So whenever you are going to introduce a new technology, it is to provide benefit to passengers. So introduction of technology is good. Second one, with introduction of this kind of a railway infrastructure project, the time taken for traveling between these two destinations will be reduced. As per government documents, right now, to travel between these two cities, that is Ahmedabad and Mumbai, it takes generally around 8 hours. With the introduction of bullet train project, this will be cut short to around 2 hours. Again, please understand, these are all estimates. You'll have to wait and see actually how much it is going to take place after the project becomes operational. But at least as per the proposal, it will be reduced from 8 hours to 2 hours. So time taken for transportation will come down. Is it beneficial for passengers? Of course, yes. Now, please think of it. If time taken to travel between two cities will come down, don't you think people, rather than moving into cities, offices, rather than moving into these two cities, will move out of these two cities as well? I'll repeat it. Please think of it. Offices, rather than getting located within Mumbai, getting located in Ahmedabad, now because transportation becomes easier, will they not start moving out of these two cities? Will they not locate along the stretch wherever these stations are going to be developed? Answer is yes. Right? Answer is going to be yes. So time taken for commutation will come down. So congestion, demand for industries, demand for office spaces, etc., will also start moving out of these two industrial cities. Right? That will lead to reduction of migration into the cities. It can actually lead to reverse migration. People, workers might start moving out of these two populated cities into other regions as well. Decongest the road mode of transportation, because now it is much easier to transport or move using these types of a bullet train project. Okay, so these are some of the benefits. These are some of the benefits that we can expect from such project. Having said so, what are the concerns? What are the concerns? First one, this project alone, the project alone has a cost of more than 1 lakh crore rupees. I will repeat the statement. This project alone has a cost of more than 1 lakh crore rupees. 1 lakh crore rupees. So can you imagine to what extent it is capital intensive? So understand this. The argument that has been put forward by many experts is, why are we spending so much amount of money on only one project? Why not use the money to improve safety across many other railway line projects? Yes or no? Please think of it. Again, this is a concern. It's a concern. You'll have to look at both the sides of the argument. Why are you spending so much amount of money only on one project? Rather than this, if you have the 1 lakh crore rupee, rather than spending here, why not use it to develop safety across many other railway line projects in India? For example, right, in the current affairs, I'm pretty sure you've come across this, the Balasore railway accident. Yes or no? The Balasore railway accident. So I hope you understand the argument here, right? Why not spend so much amount of money on only one project? Why not use it to develop safety, security across other railway lines? Second one, what will be the cost of the ticket? What will be the cost of the ticket? Because if you spend more than 1 lakh crore rupee, ticket prices will not be very cheap. If you keep ticket prices very cheap, you will not be able to recover the value of the investment. And moreover, think of this, moreover, you have taken a loan from Japanese government for the development of this project. You have taken a loan from Japanese government. You'll have to repay the loan. So if you keep the ticket prices very low, you will not recover your investment. If you keep the ticket prices very high, will it attract more customers? Many of the people, if I ask you, if you want to pay like this much amount of money and travel by a bullet train and pay additional 500 and fly in an aeroplane, most of you, I'm pretty sure most of you would choose flying in an aeroplane rather than traveling in a bullet train. Why? Your argument will be, sir, flying always feels premium. Yes or no? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Flying always feels premium to us, right? Sitting in aeroplane, right? Getting that feeling of, right? Cruising at more than 30,000 feet, etc., etc. So argument is, if you keep the ticket prices very low, you will not be able to recollect your investment. If you keep the ticket prices very high, people will start shifting to other modes of transportation. Many people will simply say, right, I will go by road only. Right, I'll go by road. I'll take another train. All right, or some people will simply say, let me fly rather than taking a train. So all of these will have a repercussion. Right, now the question is, what will be the ticket prices then? Third one is land acquisition as usual. Land acquisition, this project has been delayed. One of the primary reason is, right, delays in land acquisition itself. Right, so all of you okay with this? All of you are okay with right, the critical evaluation of bullet train project? Next one, merger with union budget. Right, but flight takes too much time due to out from city. Of course, yes. Flight, yes, it will take time, but I'm talking about premium feeling. I'm talking about premium feeling that you will get, right, by traveling in a flight compared to sitting in a bullet train. Some people will say, sir, but it takes a lot of time. Of course, yes. But that premium feeling, you will not get it, right, in a bullet train or a train that you get by traveling in a flight. Okay, done. So merger with union budget. Second important reform is merger with union budget. Now, earlier, railway budget was announced separately, right? Union budget was announced separately. I've told you about this already. Government of India starting 16 and 17 has a discontinued separate railway budget. And the government argued that there is no need to have a separate railway budget because Finance Ministry deals with finances for all the other infrastructure project. So when one ministry is dealing with all other infrastructure project, it makes more sense to give railway project also to be financed under Ministry of Finance only. So having one ministry is better. Second, it is not a constitutional requirement. Having a separate railway budget is not a constitutional mandate. There is no provision in the constitution for this. So why do we need to basically continue what Britishers did? Third, size of the railway budget. Size of the railway budget is also very small compared to overall union budget. So why to make it a fanfare? Why to simply announce a separate railway budget? And many of the times in case of railway budgets, there is no thinking regarding economics of railways. Rather, most of the times populism overtakes economics. That is, railway ministers will announce projects just to pacify the people. That, for example, please do let me know, earlier, not today, earlier, whoever was the railway minister, did we not talk what has the railway minister done for respective state from where they come from? Think of it. Right, earlier, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whoever was the railway minister, the first thing that anybody discussed in the railway budget was what has the railway minister done for West Bengal, because the railway minister comes from the West Bengal. What has the railway minister done for Bihar, because the railway minister comes from Bihar. What has the railway minister done from Karnataka, because the railway minister comes from Karnataka. Rather than discussing whether these projects are economically beneficial, will the projects generate sufficient revenue for the ministry, the argument was whether, right, this has been done for this state, that state, etc., etc. So cost to benefit analysis took a back seat, populism took a front seat. So rather than doing all of this, government now says we will merge it with union budget. Okay. Next, in order to increase safety, right, government has implemented a Setu Bharatam project. What is Setu Bharatam project? All of you heard of railway crossings? Let me know. All of you have heard of railway crossings. Sir, what do you mean by railway crossings? Imagine this is a road and this is railway. That's it. This is a railway line. This is a road. So road as well as railway line physically will cross each other. This is called as a railway crossing. And why this is a problem? Have you come across accidents that will happen at railway crossings? Think of it. Have you come across news articles where at railway crossings accidents will keep on happening? A truck was passing by, railway will come and hit it. A school bus was passing by, railways will simply crush it. Railway crossings are basically dangerous. And what government of India has done? Under Setu Bharatam initiative, under Setu Bharatam project, these railway crossings will be eliminated. Physical crossings will be eliminated. Now we are going to construct railway overhead bridges or railway under bridges, so that there is no crossings. There is no crossing physically like this. We are going to eliminate crossing. Whatever safety issues there, we are going to address it. In fact, again, not related to railways, but please tell me, have you read regarding the Mumbai-Delhi Expressway? Right? Have you read about Delhi-Mumbai Expressway? And if you have read, right, one of the points they have made sure in Delhi-Mumbai Expressway is that there are certain stretches of road which are very much ecologically sensitive. I repeat, in fact, this was pointed out by Mr. Nitin Gadkari, who is the Minister for Transportation. There are certain stretches which are very much ecologically sensitive. Means what? This is the expressway, and right, there are elephant crossings. There are right, animal crossings. Right, that is crossing. Animal crossing means what? It is basically a road that is taken, a path that is generally taken by wildlife. This is generally taken, right? It is a path that is taken by the wildlife. And many of the times, if there are right crossings like this, there could be accidents. Vehicles which are moving at a very faster pace, they can hit, let's say, an elephant. They can hit right certain wildlife. They can hit the bears which are crossing by, etc. That is the reason. Have you come across this? In Delhi-Mumbai expressways, at certain places, they have taken elevated route. Yes or no? Please read that. They have taken elevated routes and they have created underpasses for the animals to pass by without any interruption. This has been done in Delhi-Mumbai expressways. So please read about it. Okay. So Setu Bharatam project has been one initiative that has been taken by the government to address safety issues in railways. Can I add one more here? Kavach. Have you heard of this? Right. Indian Railways Kavach system. That is also one more system that has been undertaken to address the safety issue, security issue in case of railways. Next, private sector operating trains. Last point for the day, right? Private sector operating trains in India. What is the logic? Government of India says, I don't have to invest. I will not invest money. Private sector will invest money. Take a train on lease. Take a train on rental basis and operate these routes. Very simple idea. I'll repeat it again. I will not invest money to manufacture a train, produce a train, nothing. I have identified one route, city A and city B. Now private sector will purchase a train, lease out a train and start operating between the city A and B. So please let me know, is Government of India investing here or is the private sector investing? Is the logic okay? Is the Government of India investing or the private sector is investing here? Right? Private sector is investing. So the burden of investment on the Government of India automatically will come down. Burden to invest, burden on the government to operate trains by spending money on trains will automatically come down. Point number 2, if private sector investing, obviously they are focused on profits. They want to earn more money, earn profit. That is the advantage for the private sector. Point number 3, if private sector will start operating trains, they will pay a certain amount of money to Government of India. All of you okay with this? It's not free of a cost. Private sector will pay a certain amount of revenue to Government of India. So look at the beauty of the system. Look at the beauty here. Government, without spending even a single rupee in this project, is generating money. Until now, government used to spend lot of money to operate trains. Now government says, I will not spend money. Private sector will spend money. They will operate the trains, but they will share part of revenue with me. So government, without spending money, is earning money through this model. And what is the benefit to the customer, such as you and me, passengers? What is the benefit to all of us? The benefit is very simple, right? Don't you think if private sector will start operating, quality of services will start improving? Yes or no? Quality of services, on time arrival, on time departure, right? Cleanliness in the coaches, etc., etc. Quality of services will also improve, right? So we are also getting benefit. Government is getting benefit. Private sector is also getting benefit. So it's a win-win-win. Win for me, win for the government, win for the private sector. But there is a concern. What is a concern? Lot of routes. Government of India actually put out lot of routes where private sector can operate. Interest has not been shown by the private sector. Very few of the routes have been taken up. Why? Private sector says this is a highly investment loaded for me. Investment should be very, very high for me. That is, I will have to invest lot of money. But think of it, historically, I have not participated in operating trains. In India, historically, private sector has not been allowed to participate. So don't you think there's a lack of experience for them? They don't know how much would be the actual ticket pricing. They don't know, right, what is the optimal, right, let's say timing that should be taken, etc., etc. That is the precise reason interest of the private sector is very less as of now, even today, in the operations. That's the first one. Second concern is that if private sector will take over the operations and government says you can fix the ticket prices, the concern is that private sector might start charging higher ticket prices. That is a concern. The ticket prices, because it's a private sector company, it's not having any social welfare objective. It is not worried about subsidies. It is providing services to you. They will charge money. So there is also a concern that the ticket prices could be very higher or could be higher compared to what Government of India is charging. That is one more concern regarding private sector operation or operating these train routes in India. Done? Right? So these are certain very important reforms. Very important reform. Last concept, National Rail Plan 2030. Last concept, right? I thought the earlier was the last slide, but for railways, this is the last one. We'll discuss this, then we'll stop. The National Rail Plan 2030. Right? What is this National Rail Plan 2030? Government of India says, through the National Rail Plan, I want to improve the situation of Indian Railways. I want to improve the revenue generation capacity for Indian Railways. How? Point number one. The modal share of transportation for railways will be increased to 45% by 2030. The modal share, right? I hope you understand the term modal share. There are different modes of transportation. One of them is railways. So how much railways accounts for out of the total transportation in India? We want to increase it to 45%. In fact, please understand this. The plan was proposed in 2020. The plan was proposed in 2020. Plan was proposed in 2020. So in 2020, the Indian Railways accounted for 27% of total mode of transportation in India. Right? Now, Government of India says from 27, I want it to become 45% by 2030. A simple question to all of you. If railways will start accounting for 45% of total freight transportation in India, will its revenue position improve? Think of it. Can its revenue position improve? Of course, yes. Right? Revenues earned by the Indian Railways will automatically start increasing. That will provide certain stability for Indian Railways. Second, Indian Railways will become net zero emitter by 2030. This has become very famous now. Right? Indian Railways will become net zero emitter by 2030. Let me check. India will become net zero emitter as per the target of Government of India by when? Let me know. India will become a net zero emitter as per the target of Government of India by which year? My dear current affairs. Those who are reading current affairs, let me check. 2070. Many of you are sticking with 2047, 100 years of Indian independence. No, 2070, Glasgow Conference. Have you not read Glasgow Conference? Glasgow. Right? Very recent it was there in the newspaper. Glasgow Conference, Government of India said by 2070 we will become net zero emitter. Net zero emitter basically means how much emission you are doing, you are absorbing the emissions. That's it. If you're emitting 1 ton of carbon dioxide, you're also absorbing 1 ton of carbon dioxide. That is net zero emitter, right? So railways wants to become net zero emitter by 2030. And if you ask me, sir, how is that possible? Is it possible that railways will consume more and more renewable energy? Think of it. Railways will consume more and more renewable energy. Railways will also generate renewable energy. For example, many of you ask me, sir, how is that possible? Railways will generate renewable energy. Please check it now. Please check it. Whenever you go to railway station, in some of the railway stations, they are installing solar rooftop projects. Check it, right? Even if you don't have railway station nearby you, sir, I don't know when to go, etc. Check it in Google at least. Right? The railway stations at the top rooftops, in the rooftops of railway stations, they're installing solar panels now. What is the objective? By installing solar panels, they want to convert the sunlight into electricity. So there is a movement, right? In fact, a lot of reforms are being taken now. There is a movement towards becoming a net zero emitter, right, for the Indian Railways. Okay, next one. To create capacity ahead of the demand by 2030, right, which in turn will cater to the demand growth up to 2050. That is, we will create so much infrastructure in railways that infrastructure will be sufficient to take care of demand till 2050. Right? That is the third point. And the fourth point is, for successful implementation of the proponents or the components under the National Rail Plan, we will take assistance of the private sector. We will take assistance of the state government. We will take the assistance of even public sector undertakings. Right? So these are some of the very important provisions of National Rail Plan 2030. Done? So this is the discussion regarding railways. Next one is roads. We'll take it up tomorrow. Do not worry, we'll take it up tomorrow. Okay? Right. So any doubts, any questions that you people have? Third point, we will create so much of infrastructure that infrastructure will be sufficient to address the rising demand till 2050. For example, imagine you have constructed a lot of railway lines. You construct a lot of railway stations. So the demand till 2050 will keep on increasing. But the railway stations and railway lines you have constructed by 2030, that will be sufficient to take care of the demand till 2050. That's a basic meaning. Okay. Can windmill on rooftop of train? My dear, you give a proposal to government. How do you propose a windmill on the rooftop of a running train? I don't know. You can give it to government. Okay. Sir, how much time taken by bullet train to travel from Ahmedabad to Mumbai? Again, it was just a proposal, 2 hours. It was just a proposal, 2 hours. I hope you understand. The train is not yet operational. I can only tell you what was the proposal. I cannot tell you what is the time taken as of now. Questions we'll discuss. Please don't worry. Don't worry. Right? I will not run away. Whatever questions are there, we'll discuss. You don't worry. Okay. Sir, you did not discuss that, this, etc. You read, no. If I discuss everything, what will you do? You also read something. You also put in certain efforts from your side. Okay. Okay. Can't the government provide VGF model in railways for private sector in initial stages? No, they are not providing it. Because please understand, government says there is sufficient demand. There is already sufficient demand. So I don't have to provide VGF. VGF will be coming into picture when there is a question about revenue capacity, financial viability. Government says there is sufficient capacity for demand, right? So they will be able to generate revenues. Okay. Did you teach planning? No, I've not yet taught planning. Tomorrow we'll start planning. Don't worry. Right? Tomorrow we'll discuss certain more concepts within infrastructure. We'll cover that. Then we'll discuss planning concept. Don't worry. Right? As far as I'm concerned, one of the most static portions for you is planning only. Right? I'll give you so many points regarding all the 12 5-year plans. Right? You will only say, sir, stop. Right? We don't require so many points. Right? Very static portion planning. I'll cover that. Don't worry. Okay. High salaries of railway employees is a major cause of less revenue for railways. No. Please understand. Right? You cannot say salaries right are very high in railways. It's a government. It's a government-owned ministry, or it's a part of the government. So anybody getting salary just like that, it is a part of the expenditure. Sir, one question from 2020 paper in which FDI is largely non-debt capital. My dear, FDI is non-debt capital, right? Debt capital means what? You tell me, what do you mean by debt? Debt means repayment. So if FDI will come into India, do you think it's a debt now? Debt for India? Please think of it. Do you think, right, FDI is a debt for India? Does FDI create a debt for India? No. Is it a borrowing? No. Whereas on the other side, ECB is also capital. ECB is also, right, inflow of money for India. But can I say ECB will create a debt for India? So I hope you understand the difference. Okay. Sir, what all topics are left out? We are supposed to cover questions from industries, questions from investment models, right? Road infrastructure, waterways infrastructure, civil aviation infrastructure, then planning, then the last employment, inclusive growth, and IMF. Will be done by Friday. Okay, will be done by this Friday. By the way, this Friday is your last class for the morning batch. This Friday is your last economics class. Okay.